No, I think that sounds really good, but I might just toss out one suggestion since
All
we've
right.
got some people here that like Stephanie, that this is their first meeting and it might make sense to just do a round of intros for the people that are on.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea.
You want to
So
start?
I might as well start. And then when you are through introducing yourselves, then call out the next one you want. So I'm Tom Goodhue, and I'm the co-chair here of the Work Readiness Committee. I'm the executive director for Oregon ACTE, and I will call out Todd Nell.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. My name is Todd Nell. I'm the director of the Workforce and Talent Development Board, which in Oregon is the State Workforce Board. And I will toss it to a member of that board and who's next to me on the Hollywood squares on my screen, which is Mr. Tony Frazier.
Tony Frazier here, director of the Salem Kroc Center. I will toss it to Sherry Clark.
All right, I'm Sherry Clark. I'm a professor at Chemeketa Community College, work part-time on contract for Oregon Department of Education, and work on a lot of contract work on more of a private level with Oregon employability skills and CCL and all kinds of things. Whoops, I forgot to toss it. I will toss it to Denise.
Hi, everyone. Denise Waldron with Life to Launch. We work on workforce readiness for emerging talent. And I will pass it to Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Salamone. I'm the executive director of Oregon STEM, and this group started at Oregon STEM on February 11th, so I'm new to all of this, but have been.
Hey, Stephanie.
Yes.
I don't know if others are having trouble hearing you, but I'm really having trouble hearing you.
We are.
Weird. I don't know how to fix that.
Just get close to your microphone.
Get closer to
Can you increase your volume?
There you go.
Shall I start over? I'm Stephanie Salamone, the executive director of Oregon STEM. Is that better?
That's better. Yeah. Thank you.
And I started in this role on February 11th. And so in the last 2 months, I've been trying to figure out what that means. But I have visited 12 of our 13 regional STEM hubs.
Oh, great.
Oh, I have to pass it. Sarala?
Yeah, hi. This is Sarla Palival. I'm a retired engineering leader from Siemens, before it was Mentor Graphics in Wilsonville. And right now I'm a leadership and career coach for women in technology, amongst other volunteering things, yeah. Oh, pass it on to, I guess I only see Aliyah who hasn't spoken. Are there just 9 people on this?
No, you must have a small screen.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Aliyah.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Hi.
Okay.
Aliyah will take it.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Aliyah Sobolowski, Executive Support Specialist for Office of Workforce Investments and the Workforce and Talent Development Board. And I will pass it on to Clay.
Clay Martin. I'm an analyst in the same place as Aliyah, and I will pass it on to Georgia.
I have to unmute. Hi, Clay. Thanks. Georgia Conrad, Executive Director of the Oregon Workforce Partnership, the Association of Oregon's 9 workforce boards. Raise your hand if you haven't spoke. I have to switch screens here. Matt.
Thank you. Matt Bezick. I am the Executive Director for the Oregon TRIO Association. I work with all the TRIO grants around the state. We serve about 13,000 students, ranging from middle school to adult learners statewide. I will, oh man, the hands went away. I don't think, Dean, you haven't gone yet.
I haven't, thank you. But then I got to find somebody who hasn't. My name is Dean Craig, and I get the pleasure of being the Director of Business Services for Willamette Workforce Partnership. I see some hands. Whose hand is that? Is that Susan? Is that you? You're little.
Mine's up. So yes,
Perfect.
Susan Samick. I work for Oregon Department of Education as a Career Connected Learning and CTE Tribal Liaison. So uplifting career connected learning in Oregon. And I'll pass it to Maggie.
Hello, everyone. Maggie Mache, Oregon Department of Education, in the Office of Innovation and Improvement. Delighted to be working in partnership with you all, and I'm going to pass it over to Eric.
Hi, everyone. Eric Juneman, Career Connected Learning Specialist, Higher Education Coordinating Commission, Office of Community Colleges and Workforce Development. I will pass it over to Philip.
Hey, Philip, we can't hear you.
How about now?
There we go.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, it auto-selected a microphone that's not really a microphone. Go figure. Sorry about that. Phil DeVries, Director of Innovation and Expansion in an organization called Legacy Success Project, a statewide nonprofit that supports students and aligns systems for helping underrepresented students move through post-secondary, including workforce, so community college, unions, trades, all of that stuff, hence why I'm here. And I will pass to Aubrey because I see your hand is up and you're next to my screen.
Hello, hello. I'm Aubrey Green. I work over at Portland State University's School of Social Work. I'm with the Oregon Supported Employment Center for Excellence, and I'm here to listen. Happy to be here. And I will pass to Magdalene.
She already went. How about Brandy Clark?
I'll pass to Brandy Clark.
I am Brandy Clark, and I am the work-based learning specialist for the Oregon Department of Education. And I don't know if there's any more hands up. I might have been last.
How about Doug Denning?
Hey everybody, Doug Denning with the HEC. I'm a Senior Policy and Program Advisor and also serve as the Director of the Oregon Youth Works Advisory Board. And I am on my mobile and I cannot see hands, Tom, so if I could pass it back to you.
Yeah, we're going to go with Sam Watson.
Hi, I'm a Title I provider for adults and dislocated workers and youth. I'm just listening in.
Perfect. How about Kelly Warner?
Hi, Kelly Warner, Associate Program Officer for the Ford Family Foundation. And I too am just joining in to listen to all of you. Thank you.
Great. Was there anybody who we missed? I think we got them all. Oh, Susan, did you go? Semick? Okay. I guess we got them. All right. Well, let's move on then to the meeting. Did you want to? There we go. So I guess we'll call for order. Do we have a quorum yet, Alea?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Did everybody get a copy or can they review the agenda? If you'd put that maybe up on the screen. And once you have a chance to review that, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Did you mean the minutes, Tom?
That's what I said. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I meant the.
That's okay. I was like, which visuals do we need at this exact moment?
There we go.
I'm here for
That's
it.
what we needed. I don't know what my mind's at. I've been busy doing other things. So if you maybe scroll that a little bit for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve because I read it before the meeting.
Well, thank
I
you,
was ready.
Sharon. All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Otherwise, I will say that this is unanimously approved as presented. So thank you very much. So next item on the agenda today, comprehensive policy and considerations. So is that something we want to share with people, or is that just a review? Aaliyah, what was the plan there?
Yeah, I think
I have a copy of it here. I can also put the link to the website in the chat, and there's a copy of it there as well.
Okay. Did everybody get a copy of that? And have you had a chance to kind of take a look at it? Todd, are we looking for an approval of that, or is this just informational?
I think it was just sort of a grounding and reset reminder, and I can quickly work through it if you'd like me to,
Yeah.
Tom. Okay. Yeah, so if you could go down to the next sort of section. The reason we brought this to the forefront for this meeting was based on some communication back and forth with Charlie, Tom, and I in terms of what policy considerations. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Aaliyah, for pulling into this nice, visually appealing and well-organized document from the Workforce Readiness Committee report, as many of you remember, some of you might not know about, and giving it to us today so that we can sort of hit the highlights from that annual report. And so it talks about different priorities. Short term are the first that show up here with in the next year around Pillar 1, alignment, coordinating governance and system coherence. And it lays out bullets under each of these. So it's not overwhelming for everybody. As a friendly reminder, as I said, to establish education workforce talent director to coordinate cross-agency work. This was, again, a recommendation in the report to stabilize backbone funding for cross-agency partnerships and launch regional professional development and training. Next slide, or section, I guess. Pillar 2 and Pillar 3, you can see here around innovation and modern tools with universal access, and then on to Pillar 3, measurable outcomes, which were around data equity and accountability. I won't read all these, but again, this is just a reminder. To move then into the midterm 1 through 3 years, there were a couple of pillars around building system infrastructure, scaling innovation, and strengthening coherence. Pillar 1 around alignment, including curriculum, pathways, and partnerships. 2, innovation, scaling tools, and expanding access around, the 3 chunks of the work that are a part of our charter, which include, for those who may not know, are new, Oregon employability skills, STEM lift, and AI in the classroom efforts. And then last and surely not least, CTE and dual credit. So those are called out in various ways here. And then moving on to Pillar 3, you'll see measurable outcomes highlighted with integrated data and regional capacity, a key part of those outcomes. And then next section highlights the longer term, which is around achieving durable systems alignment and sustained economic mobility. Again, pillar organization with alignment, including structural coherence in workforce competitiveness. 2, innovation with deep industry integration. And then 3, again, same categories, measurable outcomes around accountability and long-term success. And is there a little bit more, or is that the end?
No, there's more down below it.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, you got the employability skills that are highlighted. Again, it's a bit redundant from what I just said. And then below that, the other chunks of our charter around STEM-LIFT, dual credit early college, and CTE. So I would encourage you to, if you have this, pulled up in your own screen, to review a little bit of the highlights here as we move on. And I guess I think it's a great document to refer to as we move forward this year, without having to go back to the entire report, which, oh, by the way, was sent out broadly, right, Tom, and others, when it was completed and ready to go out. I think it went to the governor's office, to the legislature, to agency land and other partners. So many people have seen it. I think, Sarala, I see your hand. So I'll toss it over to you for your question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Todd, I discussed this briefly with you and Venkat yesterday by email, but just for broader discussion here, what I'd like to understand is, how are we as a committee, in the official capacity of members of this committee, expected to drive forward these initiatives and make, tangible progress on it, right? So, for example, I know some of us are personally, working. I know Venkat's very working on the AI side in classroom. I, just through my connections, recently introduced PSU's assistant dean, Martin Sedaris, to Chris Rita, who's, the director of CT for Portland Schools, where he has great slides and presentation and coursework that can be introduced in CTE. Also working with Society of Women Engineers to go and talk about engineering and on the. So these are personal actions like some of us are doing, and I'm sure there are lots more. But formally, what do we do as committee members here to, let's just take the top level priorities that we have?
Todd, go ahead and answer that, and then I've got a little bit of a follow-up on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a specific directive that I can give you, Straw. I think that's up to the group. I would encourage folks like yourself and Venkat are doing separately and maybe together in some instances to, collaborate outside of the meetings, maybe some inside of the meetings. Maybe today is a good time to sort of get a little bit of clarity on what folks want to do. But I think it provides the report and those questions you asked provide a great opportunity for folks in the committee to come together, organize, and to try to drive to outcomes, which is a big part of why Tom and Charlie wanted to bring that overview back to the group, is to, with a continuous improvement sort of mindset based on previous years, be a little bit more intentional and focused in terms of next steps, action oriented efforts that will hopefully translate to better outcomes for you all as leaders and partners in workforce training and education, and for our customers and the people we serve. It looks like Sherry, you had a comment.
Well, let me comment before Sherry goes.
Sorry, Tom, you said that.
Sherelle, this committee's been going for a while, and you can see that the list has grown from the days that you joined. A lot of the movement that we've made has been grassroots. There is nothing formal that comes out of this committee other than recommendations, and of course, there's no mandate by anyone unless it's done legislatively. But in a lot of cases, just the groundswell of some of the things that have been adopted here have been picked up, and a lot of them gain momentum. And I'm going to go to Sherry in a second. She can talk specifically about the adoption of Oregon employability skills. As we convened this group because going way back, we had silos all over the state doing different things. And the idea was to bring them all together, start unifying that. And as long as we're all working in the same direction, the adoption seems to happen just by some sort of symbiosis, so to speak, where we've got community colleges, we've got K-12 in the room, and we've seen adoption of these different recommendations. And so to Todd's point, a lot of the outreach that each one of us as individuals brings more people into the group who see it as being something worthwhile to promote within their agencies, and then it moves forward. So no, we don't have any way of making it happen, but it does happen just by the relationships that have been developed in this room. Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. That's really kind of a lot of what I was going to say, so I won't repeat it except to say that I can give from my own perspective what this group has meant to me, because it's a place where we come together. And over the past couple years, we've seen people like Georgia start coming all the time, and then we've been working on some grants together. I find common folks that want to move in common ways. And when we do that, then we're not out there just doing it on our own, nor are we duplicating work, because we're hearing and understanding what other people are working on. When I see anything that has to do with AI, I'm sending an email to VenCat and saying, hey, have you seen this? Can we work on this together? So it's that kind of thing. Or I might today, Georgia and Todd sent us something to look at. And so we'll be getting on and looking at that together. And then we'll be finding other people in this meeting who may want to jump onto what I'd call a passion project. But that's really the value. This has been a very valuable group for me over the years, because again, I find the people with the common passions, and we do move projects along, but it isn't done so much through formality. It's really done more through strengthening communication and strengthening partnerships. I think that's what this group really does.
So,
Todd, you had something you want to add to that?
Oh, yeah. I failed to mention a couple of other thoughts that I had prior to the meeting, Sarala, and after I responded to your email with Venkat and Charlie also included. And that was, a sort of Captain Obvious statement. But, we recently had the WTDB retreat hosted up at PCC. And, Venkat, I thought, did a really good job of articulating sort of his priorities as the new chair of the WTDB around more engagement with and from the governor's office. Largely, that's with the policy advisor, who is now Sarah Means. And Venkat is meeting regularly with Sarah. He has check-ins. So one thing to think about, I think, for this group is, are there things that you want to make Venkat aware of that he should message or have a conversation with Sarah Means about during that one-on-one? There's an opportunity if that's what you all, would so choose to do. I think another of the four expectations that Venkat has is around legislative partnership. I know you asked in your email, Sarala, besides the sort of legislative interaction or approach, were there things? Yes. However, there is probably opportunities there in your, local area, and in cities and towns, depending on your role and what you can do under your job title, because some of us have to be super careful about that. There's an opportunity, as Venkat has done, to personally reach out to legislators and other, public officials and have conversations. And the third is around really kind of what happens here as a great example to sort of Tom's point earlier. He sees the WTDB as a critical convener of the unified workforce sort of system, the broader system that includes Georgia's work in the public workforce system, and then some, K-12 and universities, for example, thrown into that table. So the more that we can lean into that sort of strategy, you all can lean into that strategy and expectation, I think, is sort of another organizational or organizing principle. And then last, I think, is, I think sort of what Sherry said and what Tom were getting at around how can we, collaborate better and focus on available data and information and reporting to back up and utilize data to drive recommendations and sort of decision making. And I loved your idea, by the way, when you asked, can we post something on LinkedIn, for example, Sarala? These documents that are produced by this committee and staff become public documents, and really anybody has access to them. If you decide of your own accord to post that or provide a link in LinkedIn, I mean, that's something that you can decide separately. To my knowledge, once something becomes public, it truly is public and can be shared based on you as a member of the public want to share it. So I think that's totally fine and sort of allowable.
Yeah.
Sarala, you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I
Go
have a
ahead.
few follow-ups. And I hope this is okay. If you want to cut this off, in a few minutes here and we have a side discussion, I'm fine with that as well. But I think this has been something the year that I've been on the board and on this committee that I've really been thinking about is how do we make real change, right? Because there's a lot of thought and work that's gone into what this committee produced. So first, I just say that, the success story of the Oregon employability skills is, it's truly inspiring and how that's come about. But I also think that if you just leave it to things happening organically, it may or may not happen. And I think we have to get intentional because the things that we're talking about here are very fundamental and they're going to be very hard to change and make progress on. If you just look at our top three priorities there that Todd put up. So I firmly believe that in all my experience of work and, driving larger initiatives. So one thought is, and I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but one thought is that let's take the top three priorities and say, who in this group wants to team up on each one of these? And either we have side meetings or discussions on that and set goals, because I think our efforts are probably getting pretty fragmented, you know. So I'm doing something where I'm collaborating with the Society of Women Engineers and going out there. The Oregon STEM organization is probably doing outreach to schools. Everyone's doing outreach to schools, but we're doing it from different directions. And if we have people representing so many different organizations here, it may be worthwhile to see how we join forces, rather than us just sending emails in the background. Are you interested? Are you interested? Something like that. So I really think that we probably have to become a little more intentional and just pick a couple of things and see who on this team would like to collaborate on each of those.
I think,
those are-
Tom, does
gonna
this make sense? And Aaliyah, feel free to jump in here because I think the third part of the agenda, and by the way, we're a little bit behind.
We got to catch
The
up.
third part of the agenda was, Astrala, really about how do we better plan and implement the annual report. I think this is probably a true statement, Tom, and members who remember, every year we have the main deliverable of this committee thus far, historically, being the annual report. We have struggled to plan and sort of projectize, for lack of a better word, the actual writing and developing and finalization of that report, completion of it every darn year. So we're trying to get a head start on that. I think in this next session, Aaliyah, and I keep referring back to Aaliyah because I think this was in large part her good idea. So I want to honor that. we could potentially bring some of the discussion that we've had, Sarala, into that planning and survey answer. So we could expand it beyond just having to do with the annual report and asking people to engage and volunteer and help us plan further out instead of procrastinating and finding ourselves behind. And so
Todd,
just an idea to toss out.
Let me jump in because I agree with Sarala. We're globally focused without really driving a point of getting something accomplished. And what I could see happen, and maybe as we move forward in some of our meetings, we could talk to each one of those leads that is around those 4 initiatives that we have, and maybe just have a discussion on how do we drive that forward. What is the strategic plan to make that happen, rather than just have people report back and say, oh, here's where I am with it. Is anybody interested? I agree totally with you, but I think if we talk about all 4 of them at once, we're not going to get anywhere. But if we were to say, take AI in schools, Venkat's deal, and to say, okay, Venkat, where are you at with it? What support do you need? Where do you see the obstacles for success are? And how do we develop a plan to achieve success in moving that forward? And I think, I think something that we could talk about with everybody here who's got fingers in the pie, so to speak. How can each one of us support it, and what ideas come from that? Kind of a brainstorm of strategically, how do we achieve success? Sarala, is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. Although I'm just wondering, we may want to have like a quick, whatever, quick, like here are the top 3. Let's just at least like say who's interested in which one, who aligns, and then definitely we visit that, each of those topics, and the people who are interested could have some side conversations for the next meeting and bring it forward, so that could be a option, to set up,
let's lay something like that out maybe at the next meeting, Todd, where we just try and get some areas of interest by different people who could kind of, and Charlie, myself, you, Aaliyah can all be part of those meetings, so that we make sure that we're driving it towards the outcomes that we're looking for that are consistent with the goals and objectives. So kind of like a subcommittee for the subcommittee. Anyway, Todd, are you still wanting to say something, or can we move on to the agenda?
Yeah, we can move on. I was just going to ask Aaliyah if we had planned to do breakouts. I couldn't remember if we were going to do breakouts or if we were going to just discuss it as a large group. So it looks like we were going to discuss it as a large group. So yeah, let's move on, Tom. Thank you.
All right, Sherry, you're up quickly for Oregon Employability Skills Status Update.
Yeah, I can be quick. I just have some bullet points here. Just an update. We're circling back with funding and return with the micro-credentialing system. We put that on hold for a couple of weeks due to the move of some of the folks moving into the employment department, doing lots and lots of grant work. I'm going to Eastern Oregon next week to speak at their workforce board conference. Met with David Faro, who is doing another conference with local workforce boards and so forth, the National Restaurant Association manager. He's really interested in how he can help support OES. He saw it very, very aligned with the work and the national speaking that he does. At Oregon ACT, we have 32 companies coming and to help us with industry and education talks and how we can just move employability skills in small ways. And then the last thing on that is, let's see, I wrote it down here. one of the things that came up in a conversation that I had today is there's still a lot of interest in getting the Oregon Employability Skills Spanish version e-learning to have the accompanying video series that our English one does. So I'm going to start looking at how we might be able to move that forward. And my last little statement is, everyone in this group, you should feel really, really comfortable reaching out to other people in this group, because I do it all the time. And so if you have a bright idea, if you want to collaborate on something, especially if you want to talk with me about any of the things, please contact me. I would love to have a conversation with you. And I think that that's true of anyone here. So.
Todd, I don't see Venkat here, and the next topic was AI in the classroom. Do you have any update on that?
I know he can. No, I think Venkat is super busy, even though he is retired. I think he works harder than he did at NVIDIA trying to help this thing we call a workforce education and training system, which is super cool and exciting. But I think he's tapped out. But I think he continues his efforts to work on utilizing AI in the classroom, particularly as it relates to trying to have impact on 4th and 8th grade math scores in particular, since our metric in the state of Oregon is not so hot there, or the data against that metric is not so hot. So
one thing I want to point on before we go to the next topic, Sherry was talking about the Wednesday business collaborative at the Oregon ACTE conference. One of, just to show how what happens here moves forward into different areas, part of that discussion is not only Oregon employability skills, but it also is industry adaptation to AI and feeding that back directly to teachers so they get an idea of what's happening in industry. So yes, part of what we do here is that we take everything that we share in this room and we share it collectively, not singular. We don't just pick one thing and move on. We share everybody's thoughts everywhere we go. So anyway, that was just one thing I wanted to point out, and thank you to Sherry for that. Aaliyah, did you want to move on to the annual report interest feedback form?
Absolutely. I'm ready if you are.
Go for it.
All right. Well, I am here today to gauge interest in our upcoming 2026 report. We're far into the future for it, but planning early never hurt anyone. So today we thought that we would use some of our time to allow you to fill out this form inside in the meeting. Because if you're anything like me, you don't like homework, and you would rather be given the time to do it in class, right? Not that this is a class. And so this form today, as you fill it out, we'll be able to see live what people are saying. It asks basic questions like, what is your name, so that we can track who wants to do what. But also it asks lovely questions like, what level of involvement are you going to prefer? Maybe it depends month to month. And then it goes on to ask you a few other questions on how much time you want to commit and all of those itty bitty nitty gritty type questions that we want to make sure that we know the answers to. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that poll in the chat so that you guys can complete it. And I'm going to invite Todd to say anything else that I might have forgotten as I pull up the live screen.
No, I mean, great job, Aaliyah. I think you pretty much nailed it. We just appreciate any opportunity that you want to take to share your comments and thoughts. So feel free to do so, and we'll see how it rolls up. While you start to do that, Tom, you made me think of in your comments about the conference that I should make a plug for the Talent Summit. So
Yes.
speaking of artificial intelligence in the classroom and so many other places these days, right? There will be a theme replete throughout the entire summit around artificial intelligence. We'll have speakers, not surprisingly, Venkat, Skip Newberry, and others, including Jobs for the Future, and post-secondary leaders that will be talking about how AI is impacting our economy, talent development, workforce, and education and training. So that is on May 19th. It's at the Salem Convention Center from 9 till I think 6 p.m. that day. So if you haven't had a chance to register, let us know. And well, maybe Leah, after the meeting, you could just send out the latest and great. I'll do it. I'll send out the latest and greatest from actually send out an email that went out this week. I'll just send it to the entire committee. So if you didn't see it, you will after this meeting. And then please, it's free. So go ahead and register, and we'd be happy to see you so that we can do some of that good networking and sharing and learning with you amongst our all of you at the Talent Summit. Thanks, Tom.
I went ahead and just put in the chat the registration info for the Talent Summit that takes you directly to the WTDB website for all the information that was shared via email a day or two ago. So if you don't want to wait, it's right there.
How's everybody doing with their assignment here? Don't all talk at the same time.
I'm done. I see 5 responses.
Looks like we're at 5. We've got, we'll go through the results at the end, but it's kind of fun to be able to see them roll in and see what everyone's thinking.
Extra high is not a leading topic there.
I know, right? Who wants to lead the project? And we'll send this out to the full committee as well, because I know we have a few absences today, but we'd like everyone's feedback. We've got 9 responses.
We're doing good.
We are out of 19. That's pretty good.
Tim. This is more fun than the meeting, Todd. We ought to do this more often. We'll just dream up different things we should pull this on Charlie next time. We'll start the meeting off with, what do you think of the people that lead the meeting? And then we'll judge it and let it go. So by the way, the Oregon ACTE conference is the 28th through 1st of May in Seaside, and we're planning on perfect weather. It won't rain. It's going to be sunny. The beach will be fun to go explore after the meetings, and it'll be just basically a generally great time. By the way, Sarala, we are having on I think it's Thursday afternoon after our lunch, we actually have a legislative forum. So we have a couple of legislators there, and we will be asking them all sorts of questions about input as to how can we make a difference, especially on workforce development CTE as it relates. Todd, yes, sir, your hand's up.
Oh, thank you, Tom. You made me think of yet another thing to share. In Charlie's absence and channeling him, I wanted to share a few things. I think as maybe we talked about at the last meeting when I announced that the WTDB staff and support will be moving over to the employment department along with Title I staff, generally speaking. That there was a lot of excitement after the WTDB retreat in March up at PCC about that change. And people were excited to hear from Andrew Stolfi, who, of course, is the executive director of the employment department. So, as sort of follow-up to that, Charlie took it on himself. Strala, here's another example. And Charlie reached out to Andrew and Sarah Foster at the employment department, set up a meeting, and let me know that he met with them in person and had a conversation about the WTDB, the Workforce Readiness Committee, and the various components, priorities within the committee. He got back to me and let me know that he thought the meeting went really well. I had a one-on-one with Sarah Foster the other day and sort of debriefed with her. I think the sentiment from both Andrew Stolfi and Sarah was that it was a good meeting and they appreciated having the opportunity to get, a direct conversation going with Charlie as a longtime leader on the Workforce and Talent Development Board, and of course, Tom's sidekick here on the Workforce Readiness Committee. So I guess yet another way to informally try to move efforts forward, Sarala, that I don't think very often, and if so, very infrequently happens. From time to time in the past, we have had board members reach out to agency leadership and the policy advisor and others in the governor's office, but it I would say is likely way underutilized from what it could be.
Well,
Yeah, so
and
for example, like I had a meeting with Sarah for an hour, and Todd, thanks for the introduction last year. I think what I hope that we can get to is we've come out with a great report this year, right? And we made 3 recommendations, and I want Sarah to say, or whoever in the office, well, this is the one we're going to really, go after, or not, or, or have a discussion with us about it. Because, and then as far as reaching out to the legislators, I guess you've educated, at least me, that, we can't say, oh, I'm representing, the Workforce Talent Development Board. When I go to a legislator, I have to say, this is my perspective. but it'd be nice to use the weight of the report, but that's contradictory, right? So on one hand, you have to kind of go to the legislator as you as a person, without bringing the weight of, the fact that I'm a member of this board and I'm a member of this committee. So again, I'm just like, I know I'm being very direct here, but I say I think these things are great, but unless we really, all of us here crystallize it and really get intentional about it, it'll just be that. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I do as executive director of Oregon ACTE is I do have the ability to represent Oregon ACTE, and I can talk about the recommendations coming out the Workforce Readiness Committee, and I can have an entire 1,000 person membership write letters of support for those sorts of things to their legislators. So I'm not the only one sitting in this room that has that ability to be able to create several directive letters based on outcomes that come from here. And that's the whole idea, is that that we leverage off the folks that are here and use their connections and power to make things happen. I sent a video off to Charlie and Todd, which talked about a collaboration with workforce and education at all levels in the state of Texas and how that works. And that got forwarded to Venkat, and he went absolutely nuts over it. And he got on the phone and was calling people all over the place to try and talk about that model and why aren't we doing something like that in this state. So yeah, it doesn't take very many contacts to make things happen.
Yeah, and I might add, I think a big part of why we have two people on this committee, Georgia Conrad and our longtime friend, Mr. Craig, is because this isn't just about K-12, it's about the entire workforce system, which includes the public workforce system and adults and others, within that system. And Sarala, I think, both Georgia and Dean are great resources to connect with, to explore opportunities, for moving the needle and getting things done. I don't know if George and Dean want to jump in on that, but I think there's an opportunity there.
I mean, we
Thank
definitely
you.
have our opinions.
Go for it, Georgia.
No, I'm happy to be a part of this group and bring in the local workforce board perspective and, help build those bridges, because often the boards see ways to make things more simple, or, not everything is an easy process, but if we could all align, we could move the needle faster. So Dean, you might have more to add.
Oh, sorry, Dean. Just really quick while I'm thinking about it, you made me think of our good friend Tony Frazier, who used to be a local board director and has really great knowledge base when it comes to all of this work, not only from a community-based organization where he's the leader over at the Kroc Center, but also in many other spaces. So Sarala, he's a great resource too, very collaborative and entrepreneurial, innovative, and I think most of all, a get her done kind of guy. And so at least in my mind,
Making me blush.
I think there's another connection there that could happen.
Well, I've made presentations with Tony before, and I'll tell you, he comes across as an evangelist preacher and almost makes the rest of us look really bad. But he's got some great stories, and boy, I'll tell you, he's impactful to have as your partner.
Yeah, I mean, like my interest, as many of you know, is around the STEM Lift project and socializing, not just to women and minorities, but to everyone. I we were at Roosevelt High School, and there were 5 women panelists from Society of Women Engineers, and there were 30 girls and two boys. And in 1 hour of discussion, the feedback we got was stunning, as far as like, we didn't know there are 5 forms of engineering or 10 or whatever. Now I'm actually going to think of engineering as a field. Well, why are we in that state? At this point, why is does that situation exist? Engineering is a field that has existed forever. It's not AI that just has happened. So I think some of the things we've also got to see, with so much great initiative and intention and policy, why do we have such big gaps? And that's the reason I feel very urgently that we really have to join forces in a very intentional way, right? So we felt really good about ourselves, like, oh, it just took an hour and now something's going to happen, right? And so anyway, I think I've made my point clear. So I think from the next meeting forward, like if we could get interest levels in each of those pillars or each of those initiatives, and if people are willing, because Todd, thanks for sharing all the names, but I have to say I instantly actually it didn't register, whom to reach out for what. But if we can put our interests across those pillars, then I definitely would be happy to coordinate the ones that I'm interested in. Yeah.
Great. Aaliyah, do we have results?
We do have results. I can share and
we have 2
fly
minutes.
through those real quick.
We have 2 minutes. Only 13 responses. Not everybody?
I have a feeling some of our guests chose not
Okay.
to, not in a negative way. That came out weird.
All right.
But I do think it might be beneficial to send this out to the full committee, because 13 responses, we can get more representation. But we have quite a few folks interested in contributing. I'm just going to click through them and you guys can take a look. I have lots of involvement. I'm going to try to leave 1 minute at the end. Go through it quickly. As part of follow-up to this meeting, I'll send out the form as well as what others responded to, kind of gauge interest for others, to help support that feedback. But that's all that I've got on that form.
All right. I have no concluding comments other than thank you very much for your time. And as usual, the collaboration in this group is great. And I think for an ad hoc committee, we're kind of special because we actually do achieve things, surprisingly enough. With little or no mandate, we're able to move the ball forward on a lot of things, and it's all with the help of the people in this room. So I thank you all for being here. Todd, any concluding message you want to add to that? You got 30 seconds.
I thought that was really good, and I'll add to your list of things with little to no funding on top of all that, which is kind of amazing. So yeah, same. Thank you all, as always, for being here. I think this is by far the best committee of the WTDB, and well, many other committees I've been on. So we really appreciate your time, your good thinking, the conversation, and willingness to participate. So I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you, guys. See ya.
Bye.